Now, the ideal source of protein, where most proteins are found, are in animal products. But of course, some of you watching this video will be vegetarian. Now, in vegetarians, they can still get enough protein in the diet, but they need to get it from a more varied source. So they would ideally get it from a combination of rice, which does contain some amino acids, and lentils, which is in dal and things like that, and hopefully some other vegetable sources. Nuts, for example, are also very rich in protein. So people that eat meat need less sources in the diet of protein. People that don't eat meat need a much wider variety of foods to get all of the proteins that they need. Because protein is not simple, there are many different types of proteins, as we'll see in a minute. So try and get as wide a variety in the diet as possible to maintain health and get all the proteins that are required. Now, chemically, proteins contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in exactly the same way as the carbohydrates did. But in addition to that, all proteins contain an extra atom, an extra element, and that's nitrogen. They all contain nitrogen. So all proteins contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. And some other proteins contain extra elements such as sulfur, for example. So carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, plus sometimes additional elements. Now, one thing that many people don't realise is that protein in the body is very active metabolically. And it's estimated that 3.5% of body proteins may be broken down and resynthesized every day. So protein metabolism is an ongoing active process. And studies of diet in the UK have indicated that about 93 grams of protein are ingested per day in most diets. Now, this is probably too much. In the UK, actually, we tend to eat too much protein. The World Health Organization advise that the amount of protein required in the diet to maintain health is 0.8 grams of protein. Of course, this should say 0.8 grams of protein a day per kilogram of body weight. This is per kilogram. So 0.8 grams of protein a day required per kilogram of body weight. So if an individual weighs 60 kilograms, 60 multiplied by 0.8 will be something like, I don't know, around about 50. So they would require 50 grams of protein in the diet per day to maintain health. Now, these figures are for adults. And of course, adults' bodies have already grown. But there are times in life when more protein is required than others. So clearly for young people, for children, babies, whatever age children who have to grow, they're going to need protein for their day-to-day requirements, but they're also going to need additional protein for growth and repair. So children need more protein than adults in relation to their body mass. They need more grams of protein per day per kilogram of body weight. Other groups which need more protein are pregnant mothers. They are growing the baby inside them, so again, as babies are made out of protein, largely made out of protein, then the pregnant mothers are going to need more protein than other adults. The other group that require more protein are mothers who are lactating, mothers who are breastfeeding children. Because again, breast milk contains protein, therefore they need more protein to make the breast milk which they are feeding to the baby. So it's important to realise that protein requirements are not the same throughout life, but are higher during childhood and growth, pregnancy and lactation. And in fact there is a fourth group that require more protein than others, and these are people who are healing wounds, because again the material which is used to heal wounds is largely protein, because we are largely protein. Therefore, to heal the wound, to recover from illness, there may be more protein required in the diet to facilitate the healing process. So babies, for example, require 5 times more protein than adults. Of course, not 5 times more in absolute terms, but 5 times more protein per kilogram of their body weight than adults. Toddlers, children aged 18 months to say 3 years, they require 2.5 times as much protein per kilogram of their body mass than do adults. So they also have a larger protein requirement. And clearly it's because they're both growing. Adolescents, also still growing, and they require more protein than adults as well. They require about 1.5 times more protein per kilogram of their body weight than do adults. So all of these individuals requiring more protein than adults, for the simple reason that they're growing. Now, proteins are made up of amino acids. We mentioned that the subunit of a polysaccharide was a monosaccharide unit. In the same way, proteins are polymers. They are very long molecules. They're huge molecules, massive molecules in some cases. And they're made up of simple units, and these units are referred to as amino acids. So proteins made up of simple units of amino acids strung together in a particular order to comprise a particular protein. All proteins are made up of the same amino acids, but the order of these amino acids and the percentage of the various amino acids represented will vary from one protein to another. So, in fact, there are 21 amino acids altogether. So you can make all of the proteins required to form a human body from 21 amino acids. Well, we can't make them, of course, but they are what are required for the body to make those proteins. And 8 of these amino acids are referred to as essential. So there are 21 amino acids and 8 are referred to as essential. Now, the other amino acids which are not essential amino acids are referred to as non-essential amino acids. And it's quite important to know what this means. Now, what the body can do is transform one type of amino acid into another type of amino acid. And this means that if it's short of one type of amino acid, it can make some more of it from other types of amino acid. But this is not the case with the 8 essential amino acids. The 8 essential amino acids are essential for the very reason that the body cannot make them. It cannot synthesize them from other amino acids. Therefore, the 8 essential amino acids must be present in the diet. Now, meat will contain all of the 8 essential amino acids, but other foods will not. So in the UK, for example, a traditional food is to mix bread and cheese. In Asia, very often they mix rice and dal. And this is good because the rice, in the UK, the cheese contains 4 of the essential amino acids and the bread contains the other 4. So if you eat bread and cheese together, you're getting all of the essential amino acids. But if you eat just bread or just rice, then you're not getting the essential amino acids. And people who have diets of